New business idea? Great! Now let's make sure you do as many things right as possible and make as few mistakes as possible. And obviously, it's not realistic to expect that everything is going to go perfect because it's a new business. You're trying to launch it. Of course, there's going to be frustrations and hurdles and things that you haven't expected along the way. But being aware of really common mistakes or pitfalls on your way to a launch can definitely greatly impact the success and lower the stress that you might be trying to deal with as you're going through that small business launch process. So these are 14 things. I know that sounds like a lot, but 14 common mistakes that small businesses make when they are preparing for a launch. So we're going to run through that list and, just try to check off as many of those as you possibly can to ensure the best success possible for your small business launch. So the first mistake that small businesses can make is not building a website. Even if your business is a brick and mortar business in today's day and age, and for years now, consumers of all ages just expect a business to have a website. And if you do want to have some kind of online presence, just think of your website as your online home base. It's like the online version of that brick and mortar store. So you want to make sure that you have a website related to that. And another mistake you want to make sure you avoid, make sure you optimize that website for search. SEO is really critical to being found organically, meaning like if you don't want to have to pay for Google ads or other kinds of search ads that you might want to do, you need to optimize your website for search. And each page on your website can be optimized for a different keyword phrase, so that when people are looking up for the services or the products that you offer, they have a really good chance at finding you through those Google searches. Or Bing or Yahoo, we always just kind of default to Google because it's the most used search engine out there. But optimizing your website for search is going to be really, really helpful and greatly increase the chances of your website being found in search. Related to those websites still, another concern that you want to make sure to avoid is worrying about your website being perfect or your Facebook page being perfect or whatever it is that you're trying to use as part of your marketing, because perfect is the enemy of good. Perfect is the enemy of done. Perfect can be one of the biggest delayers. We're just totally making up that word. But it can be the biggest cause for delay in getting that new business off the ground, because business owners feel like everything has to be perfect before I'm going to hit the go button. And if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you're never going to launch. Any kind of business, no matter what the industry is, no matter the size, things are going to grow and change over time. Your website will adapt over time. Even if you just get a basic website up at the beginning and you want to have some kind of social presence, but you just start one social account at the beginning, you just need to get started. Do a solid job with it, but don't feel like it's not as robust or as perfect as you want it to be, or doesn't have as many pages as you want it to be. Get something up there, make sure you have your basics covered, and then get rolling. And speaking of that, social media, you want to make sure you start at least one social account. I'm a big believer that you're better off doing more with less, so I would not recommend signing up for 4 or 5 or 6 social media platforms. Do one and do it well, and then over time, of course, you can always add more. But you do want to have some kind of social presence. For most companies, it's probably going to be a Facebook page, just because Facebook has the most users. Of course, there's going to be some differences. If you're totally in a B2B market, a LinkedIn presence could be more important than a Facebook business page. But just the big point there is have some kind of social presence, because right after having that expectation that a business has a website, people also expect it to have at least some kind of social account related to that business. So another launch mistake to avoid is promoting your business too far in advance. There is a colleague of mine, this is just such a perfect example. She was hired by a business and they wanted her to be posting over 6 months ahead of time, and they were expecting her to grow the page likes. If you think about these things from a customer standpoint, it's really hard to get someone to care about a business that doesn't even exist for another half a year. And to put the social media consultant in that position too, how much stuff can you possibly talk about or keep people interested in to keep seeing your post and care to interact with it for 6 months or more in the future? So starting too far out is not a good idea. Also, waiting until the last minute is also not a good idea. So customers still have to go through the process of know, like, and trust. Yes, the online world moves fast, but that sales cycle is just the same in the online world as the offline world. So if someone is just hearing about you for the first time and you're opening in 2 days or you're opening next week, you can't expect them to be, showing up at your door because they don't really know anything about you. But the good thing is, and this is another mistake that you want to make sure you avoid, don't not be sharing about the progress along the way. People like that behind the scenes stuff. So even if it's you just sharing about what you're working on, if there is some kind of physical space that's having construction, go ahead and share photos and stories about the progress, share the blueprints, share about, the new products or the vendors that you are bringing in to sell in your store. Even share about the people who are helping with the launch and helping get the business started. So do share about what's going on to help people get excited and learn more about you at the same time as part of that promotional content leading up to your business actually opening. So let's see. Since we're talking about promotions, let's also say, don't ignore offline marketing and advertising options. I know we're talking about online and you all are mostly, online companies to some extent, but there's a lot of word of mouth and offline marketing that can be helpful, especially if you can do some cross-promotional marketing with other related businesses in your area. That can be super effective as well. So don't disregard that. You don't want to let your costs go wild, not to get too far away from really focusing on the online marketing part of things. But as an example, if your average product sells at $20 and that's not accounting for the cost to you to, get that product in your store or make that product, probably you can't afford a rent that's $2,000 plus utilities on top of that. Maybe you've fallen in love with a gorgeous website design and a really high-end designer, but a website does not and should not, especially for small businesses, be costing $10,000, $15,000. There are very affordable options, even to have it done custom. I'm not talking like you have to just go to one of those free website tools, but be realistic with some of those choices that you're making when you get started, because those costs can get out of control really fast, and you don't need, you're not going to see the value in so much higher spend for some of those things, just to make sure that your important pieces are in place as you get rolling. Next, I would say you do need to be aware of your pricing and your packages that you are putting together. Maybe you have laid out some things that you think is great, but it might not be attractive to the kind of clients you're trying to attract. And you could, from a pricing perspective, feel like I need to go really low to get people in the door, but your pricing could be so low that people question the quality that they're getting, or going too high because you have a lot of upfront costs, because you don't want to turn people off and then not ever get anybody through the door, so to speak, whether it's online or offline, and not get any clients going or customers buying from you because you've priced yourself out of the market. So a great thing to do is some competitive research ahead of time for your pricing, your packages, your website, what other social accounts that your competitors have. That kind of competitive research will really help guide a lot of this stuff for you. You want to make sure you're thinking about your customer when you're designing those products and service, making sure it's really something they care about and need, making sure things like if you want to be some kind of high-end retailer, for example, you can't bring in low-end or off-brand kinds of products because that's not going to align. and of course this is true at any point in your business, but that first impression that people have of you, you want to make sure everything is very cohesive. So making sure that when you're either choosing products to carry or designing those services, that they are really meeting the needs of the people that you're planning to attract with your business. Definitely make sure you're thinking about the strengths that you have to offer, whether it's products or services. Say, for example, you're a service-based business. Maybe there's a lot of things you could do, but it's going to be you and like 2 other employees. So you probably don't want to do too many things or offer to do too many things if 3 people can't realistically do a good job at and have good coverage of this vast array of services. So start small and manageable and realistic. Get your feet wet, get some clients going, get your feet under you, and then you can always expand later. I think the last big point is trying to launch without thinking you need to do any kind of ads. You don't have to spend a lot for Facebook ads or any other kind of social advertising. So, we're well past the point of if you build it, they will come. Even if you do have a brick and mortar, it's not just like, oh, I put the open sign turned on and we have a sign above our front door. That's not enough to get people to even realize that you exist and that your business is located in that suite in the nearby shopping mall. Just advertising in a close radius around your business can make a huge difference in getting your name out, growing awareness, and having people have an idea that you even exist. So again, it was a long list of things, but I do have a blog post that goes along with this, and I will sync that up in the comments. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. If not, you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you.